There you go. I just gave consent to being recorded. Does that mean
Nice.
you own everything now?
I have everything. Well, Brad has everything.
Fuck him.
Brad has everything. So he's kind of in control of everything behind the scenes because I got tired of editing because my workload's so high. So yeah,
I
so
see.
I had to pass that on to someone else, and I don't really want to pay. So Brad was perfect for that position.
Well, I mean, is this the point where I just bring the folks in with welcome to the Canadian Talkin Shop podcast. My name is Stu Francis. Obviously, you have heard my co-host here, the king of the Cheems memes, loves the little yellow dog, Mr. Mike Berikoff. I mean, it's a pretty cold open, but you were going on so much about how you are being worked so hard and you're doing so much that you have to pass off work to that fucking idiot Brad.
We could do another open if you want.
No, 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 no. This opening's great. No, I can't leave out that bit. You started going on about how you're overworked and such, and we need the viewers to feel your sympathy.
That's sweet because Brad really enjoys what he's doing right now.
Oh yeah, and how's that? What does
It's
Brad enjoy?
it's a little excessive. Well, every time someone gives him praise, he kind of lets out a little scream of enjoyment. But
A girlish scream, right?
I don't know. It's so Neanderthal. Like I can't even describe it. But it's irritating. It's definitely irritating. So
Oh,
so every time there's people online that want to praise him and shit, he just screams more and more and keeps me awake. I've been up since 3 in the morning, hearing his screaming and rambling around and
that's your own
whatnot.
shit because there's not enough people that praise the podcast period to keep you up all those hours. So I don't believe you.
Well, you don't hear the screaming.
No, I don't, and I don't even want to see his face or hear his screaming ever again. People, if you're listening or you're watching, do not encourage this fool. We don't need to hear squealing, apparently.
I don't think it'll happen now because I've kept him kind of sustained. He likes to eat bright colored things, so
Oh, you though too?
he's pretty entertained with that. Just bright colored things. It doesn't really necessarily have to be food, so that's easy to shop for, right? As long as it has bright colors. But you got to watch things around your house that have bright colors, right? Like LED lights are an absolute no because there's lots of different bright colors that you get attracted to and like electrocute himself or whatnot. Like, it's a long story, but yeah, yeah. So
Don't
bright colors.
you eat bunch of bright color stuff? I saw you eating crayons one time. I had you edit it because I
I
couldn't have
don't
the
eat
people see
I
it.
don't eat colors. Brad eats colors. Brad's
Ah,
like a color guy. Like if you could take him to a restaurant, he'd probably order something colorful, but I wouldn't be taking him to a restaurant. It's
he's
basically
like Bart. Remember the Treehouse of Horrors episode where they find out Bart has a twin named Hugo, and then they keep Hugo up in the cellar, and all they do is just throw him fish heads. Is that your situation with Brad?
it's similar, but he's not like wearing a mask. And Brad's story is original. It's not like a plagiarized thing. So
Ah, well then that must be very unique to your household since so many things are plagiarized. I couldn't even finish the sentence without laughing. For the record, Mike doesn't plagiarize a bunch of stuff. It is an ongoing joke. But if you are a new listener, you'll just have to go back to previous episodes to find out what we're talking about. But anyway, so what's going on, man? I hear BC's under a heat wave still. It's weird because before you answer that, Ontario's usually hotter for the most part. It's much more dry in BC. It's much more humid here. But we've been having a really light summer, man. Like it started early and we've had a few heat waves, but nothing really substantial. But you guys are having like the hottest summer ever?
yeah, I'm blessed with an air conditioner, so I'm not dealing with it a whole lot head on. But it's ridiculous. Like you go outside at night and it's still hot. It's like daytime heat. So like go to the gas station or whatnot, get some snacks, and it's like you're at 3 p.m. in the day, and like what summer would be. So there's no like nighttime relief, like how some people would be like open up their windows, cool down the house at night.
Yeah.
There's no cool to do that. So that's where the air conditioner is almost turning into a necessity, not just luxury. And there is every time there's a heat wave, everything's sold out here. Like you can't go and just go get an air conditioner because everything's sold out. So you might as well order it off of Amazon, or pay off like a scalper that's got an air conditioner that wants to sell it for like double the price, kind of like a PS4 deal or PS5.
I mean, I think they did it for the PS4 too, so I think your point stays. But yeah, you can tell we haven't evolved with our gaming consoles at all. I mean, I'm looking at my PS4 and my Xbox One right now, but I don't honestly play that much. I'd like to though. I think it's more of a winter thing for me though. I don't know. I spend the same amount of time indoors summer to winter. I don't know. I correlate gaming with wintertime activities. It's weird, but yeah, so you're really hot out there in BC. That really sucks. And how long has this been going on for now? A few days, hasn't it?
I'd say off and on for the month, to be honest, like off and on because there was that original heat wave a few episodes back, and then there was one right after, and now there's another one. But it's weird to me in BC, like something really extreme happens. Like in winter, there'll be a really extreme snowfall, and then after that, there'll be a very light snowfall, and everyone will be going, "Oh, warning, warning, warning! We got snow! We got snow! We got snow!" So I'd say it's yes a heat wave, but it's not as hot as it was in that period. Like that period was just insane. Like where I said mentioned I had the air conditioner on, and I was still at like 28 in my room. Like that was like where I'm going, holy fuck! Like this is crazy. Like it just wasn't going away. But now it's like it's manageable, so to say. But it's I don't know. Maybe I'm saying they're exaggerating, but
No, man, it's not exaggeration. Tons of people are dying and whatnot from the heat waves out there, and it's unusual. And I know you spoke upon winter. What is winters like on the island? Do you guys get a lot of snow, or is it kind of like the lower mainland where there's not a lot of snow, and when there's like a centimeter, the whole entire city gets shut down?
it's just like the mainland in that sense. Like sometimes you'll get people. No, no, actually, like I'd say every time it snows, you've got like the warnings and whatnot, and somewhere, and then you look at Ontario. See, I lived in the Kootenays when I was younger, so like Salmo, Nelson, BC area kind of thing. And we got a lot of
Is
fucking
that a
snow.
northern part of the province or a southern part of the province?
Southern part, almost near the border. Like Salmo is actually right on the
Oh,
border,
okay. Yeah, you're right.
and then you could like drive around through there and go to Spokane if you
Cool.
take the road or whatnot. But yeah, and there was a decent amount of snow. So when I moved here to Nanaimo when I was 10 years old, and there would snow like this much, and people are going crazy, I thought it was really strange, right? Because people weren't going crazy where I was growing up, where we had like lots and lots of snow.
Well, because they're
You know
prepared for it
when
there. They're not prepared for it on the
yeah,
island.
yeah, and it's they've spent a lot of money on trying to get rid of the snow, like when it's here. So prepared, it's weird. It's like because there's been times where it's like, holy fuck, like it's gonna come next year in some amount, occasionally dangerous. Like why don't you have your shit in order? But they never really do.
Because it's like we'll take the risk. It's like a lot of drivers that don't get winter tires in certain areas because they're thinking to themselves, I'll take the risk. We'll see what happens. And then shit happens, and then you're not prepared for it. And I get it. I totally understand why you'd want to maybe avoid using snow removal money on the budget. Because let's say if you're an elected official and mayor or whatever, whoever's in charge of the money, and you decide to allot certain amount of dollars for snow removal every year, and then no snowfall happens. I mean, you got two things about that. You got this money now, which is great, but it's like, what if that money could have went somewhere else in the interim, in the in between? So it's a sticky situation, but I totally understand why they're reluctant because it doesn't happen that often, right?
Nah, every winter there is snow. I'd say there's
But
been
how much and how often?
man like you can't guarantee you're gonna have a white Christmas.
No, I
So
mean,
like
you can't even guarantee that here.
yeah, so like I don't know. Like me, I'm not super worried about it. Like I said, I'm not someone that rolls around in a vehicle, catch bus and stuff. So yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Like, there's never any snow that's keeping me from going somewhere. Yeah, it might be keeping some cars from going somewhere, but BC Transit doesn't shut down.
No, no, no. Transit will really shut down for that stuff. They're
Yeah,
prepared for it
so
a little more.
and even if I had to like say walk a couple K through said snow, it hasn't stopped me before either. In fact, that's with runners. That's not even with boots. Like we're not dealing with such a cold that's sharp. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's snow, but it, you know, I don't know. There is occasional times, I guess, where it's really hard. But like I said, I'd fucking do it anytime. Go walk through the snow and go get shit in my runners, and not too worried about it. I don't think they do the same in Ontario or like Alberta.
What do you mean?
It's colder there. Or that's my assumption, is that it's colder there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because you guys, for my understanding, float anywhere from you can have some days in the winter where it's 10 degrees, you have some days in the winter it's 0 degrees, you have some days in the winter where it's -10, but like it's fairly within the 10 to 10 range, right? Either minus or plus, and in somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're like minus, like in the southern Ontario. Southern Ontario is not the same as Northern Ontario. They're two totally different provinces. When you get up to Northern Ontario, which from where I live, it's about like an hour and a half up the road, really, and that's where it starts. So once you get to Barrie, Ontario areas where the snow belt is, and I've lived there before, beautiful town. Shout out to all my friends and peoples in Barrie. Man, I miss that place. Anyhow, the snow there is ridiculous and the cold there is ridiculous. We're talking like most days are anywhere from -10, and that's a good day, to as much as minus, you know, 30 or whatnot. And then you go even further up north to like places like North Bay, where I used to live at, where they would shut the whole cities down because it'd be like -50, -60, and you got snowbanks like 6 feet, 10 feet high. Where I live, it's pretty decent. It's anywhere from 0 to -10 for the most part. You get some days where it's a couple degrees above zero. You get most days are below. The snow isn't really hitting us, knock on wood, is the way it usually does. At least it hasn't in the past couple of years. But knowing that this season, because I commute from back and forth to work about an hour each way, and where I do it is I do it along what the highway called QEW, the Queen's Elizabeth Way, and it's right alongside Lake Ontario. So it's a disaster waiting to happen. So I have to move by at least January 1st, because snow starts really coming down in January. Sometimes it hits like lightly late November, and sometimes it's hit and miss in December. Sometimes in Christmas you have days where it's like, I'm not going to even bother going out and visiting the family today because it's going to be dangerous. It's not worth it. There's so much snow. Those happen pretty rarely. For the most part, it's green Christmas. So that's why January 1st is like my ultimate goal. I have a financial goal that if I get there in time to January 1st, all will be well. I really want to move though. I can't wait, man. I can't wait to have studio space. I plan on getting a 2 bedroom at least, so I can make 1 bedroom into a studio. Sorry, guests in advance. Uh, Not that I assume that I'll have too many, but yeah, I'm just really stoked. But anyway, I'm going into a whole other tangent and whatnot. I.e., winters aren't that bad here. It's not terrible. From someone coming from, say, your area to here, it wouldn't be too tough of a transition. It's places like Saskatchewan that go like -60 on the regular and stuff like that that you'd want to avoid. But anyhow, we don't want to bore the listeners with snow talk and whatnot. We're still months away from that. We're still enjoying the summer. Some people not as much, with too much heat in BC. But we just want to say thank you to all of the listeners that have been giving us some great feedback, giving us a lot of direct messages in private, just saying how much they appreciate the content. And I just personally would like to shout out some people like my friend Stacy, who is listening every single week. I can't wait to actually have her on as a guest on the podcast. And you have some people that have been hitting you up that have really been joining. Do you have any shout outs you want to give out to people?
I'm gonna keep it a little hush because I don't have any confirmations. but I do have some people that I have been talking to, but I don't have confirmations. That's kind of the thing. So
Well, you guys out in BC that are listening, that are close to Mike and enjoying it, I appreciate you. We appreciate you. So keep sharing that you're listening. Take a screenshot, share on social media that you're listening. Tag us on Instagram. I'm at CTS underscore pod. Mike's at underscore Cutlet House underscore. Let us know that you're listening. We're trying to get at this point to 300 followers on Instagram by the end of August. So if you can help us out with that by sharing the pod, having people follow us, it's greatly appreciated. Ideally, we want to get to 500 by the end of the year, but 300 is a great start by the end of now this month, because today, as we're recording, is August 1st. So, and I mean, it's episode 7 already, man. It's crazy that we're almost at episode 10.
I know it's great. It's an amazing milestone. Like even episode 5, that's really cool. And we're doing it on YouTube now. When we just started, it was just audio. So
Yeah, it's weird because the show really didn't get an opportunity to find an identity before the identity was found, and obviously because of circumstances and whatnot. And it was great that it happened that way. But yeah, shout out to my boy Dan, who got to be the only official guest on the show, because you don't count because you've been a part of it since day one. So Dan's technically the only guest that I've really had on. I've done a ton of other great interviews with people that I'm going to release in the future one day. I hope to have them as guests on the new concept. But yeah, man, it's exciting stuff. I mean, I didn't know if I would even ever come back to do this. And I'm really looking forward to episode 10. And then that brings me to something that I spoke about at the end of episode 6. And that's episode 10 is going to be a Q&A episode. So if you have any questions or any topics that you want us to discuss, please send an email or send a DM. If you want to send an email, it's to STU at Canadian Talkin, TALKIN shop.ca, or you can send me a DM on any of my social medias. Look out for Instagram. There's going to be a post on Instagram. You can write in the comments even your question, and we will, or in YouTube as well, if you want to leave any sort of questions on the YouTube channel that you want us to ask, or not want us to ask, but want us to read off and want us to talk about, let us know. So yes, episode 10 Q&A. I'm really excited for that. And audio listeners, like, follow, or subscribe wherever you're listening to this. Apple Podcast listeners, throw us a 5-star review. I know my friend Stacy has left a couple of reviews. For some reason, I'm still not seeing them. Probably because we're not hip enough and we don't have enough support yet. I don't know. But either way, so if you're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, Stitcher, there's people in Germany that are listening to us, Mike. Germany, of all places. And there's a couple places in France people are listening to us, and not just one-offs like the one. And shout out to whoever you are in Germany that's listening to this, because you've listened to every episode on the audio, so we appreciate you.
they must get the Breton humor.
Maybe they speak Arabian too, who knows? Or what did you call it?
Arabic?
Arabic. No, you called it Arabic or something like that. You definitely didn't call it Arabic, because that's the right way of saying it.
Arabic?
Arabic, that's the one. Yes, maybe they're fluent in Arabic and they appreciate you. Search Canadian Talkin Shop, TALKIN podcast on YouTube, and check out the video version of the podcast there. You can leave us a review in the comments, and we will read it on the air. We've already read a couple off. We appreciate you, Ari and Ty. And we have highlights of each episode in the event you cannot hear the whole episode. So the highlights we're going to kind of move away from. We're going to go more into the bonus content. Highlights we don't really find necessary, because if you look on every single video, there's timestamps now. So if you want to just see certain topics and whatnot, just go to the main video, look inside the description, choose whatever you want. So we're going to try that out and try something new. Save Mike and Brad here some time, because, Mike is very overworked and we cannot have that. So yes, you will find our bonus content every Saturday at noon. And our goal on there is to get 50 subscribers by the end of August. And right now we're sitting at a total of 35. So if you're on there and you're listening and you have an account, please just hit subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to do it. It doesn't cost you any time. It takes literally 1 second. I just can't stress enough how much a like on a social media post or a simple subscribe helps a person out. You don't even have to like this shit. And that's the part that really kind of bugs me a little bit, is that I can post a selfie of myself and get however many likes, etc., which flattering, cool. But anytime I post something to do with like a personal project or anything like that, it's like nobody cares. And it's not that nobody cares. It's just that nobody gives the same attention to it as if I would if I just showed a picture of my face, which is weird to me because the picture of my face does nothing. But whatever I'm trying to do, I don't think people really understand the art of just throwing a simple like towards a business or whatever. It helps people. It just helps. It helps with the algorithm. It helps Facebook and all these different social medias understand that you're getting some traction and whatnot. So just throw a like. What's the big deal? Anyway, that's my little rant. What's your thoughts on that?
Like, what were we at before? We were at what, 33?
Yeah, as of last week, we're sitting at 33.
So, like, Brad pitched in. So I think one of those subscribers is Brad because he subscribed. He watched all the videos. He's a solid participant.
You know, you're never going to get me to like Brad, but that somewhat helps. The fact that Brad is enjoying the episodes, that he's now helping you edit and create. But
It's that easy. If Brad can do
if
it,
Brad can do it, anybody can do it. And he's the most annoying fucker in the world. So if he can do it, anyone can do it. As Mike's just about to spill his coffee here. Let me plug our social media. So again, you've already heard me mention CTS_pod on Instagram, CTS podcast, all one word, on Snapchat, and CT Shop Pod, all one word, on Facebook. Check us out. Mike runs the Facebook over there, and you can send a message, say hi anytime. Go to our website, Canadian Talkin Shop, TALKIN. Right now, there's not much on there, but soon there will be a t-shirt pre-sale. So if you are a new listener, check it out. There's more updates coming. And the first segment that I want to get to today is Sheem stickers. No, for the audio listeners. Mike decided to do his Cheem's plug of the week, I suppose.
I just felt there should have something on the screen moving, like a banner of Cheems.
Right, a banner of Cheems. Well, I mean, you can't go wrong with that funny yellow dog, right? How pumped are you to get that photo, by the way? Because I don't know if the listeners know or if they're following you on your Instagram, but you got a photo, your photo, beside the real funny yellow dog.
Yeah, it's on my Facebook profile and it's on Instagram there too. But yeah, Baltz, BALLTZE is the dog's name. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong because I think it's pronounced Baltese, but I could be wrong. It sounds better that way. But yeah, I got my picture.
Yeah, and it's a great cause too. If you just send them a donation, I don't know if they're taking anything now, but the whole general concept is you send a donation and you get your photo placed beside the funny yellow dog. But I think you were saying that they stopped taking submissions, or at least on pause.
He took a break. I think because they were overwhelmed with submissions. Like yeah, so they took a little bit of a break, but they're gonna end up doing it again. Because like you and I were joking behind the scenes, like this dog's putting in work. Like every day he's sitting there, he's got like a little happy birthday thing on his head, and like with someone's picture, and you can pick any picture, but I don't think anyone's really stepped into that ground yet. So like, you know, if you're doing something wacky, or if there's some picture of something wacky in your life, you can get that with them too. And it goes to it's a dog shelter in Hong Kong. All the profit that the actual Cheems dog, Baltz, Baltese, whatever his name is, makes goes to that campaign. So it's always a positive. That guy, their owners aren't pocketing anything from that. They're putting it all to that cause, which is really sweet. So anytime you're supporting actual Cheems merch and not Chinese knockoff Cheems merch, you're supporting Hong Kong pet shelters.
Which is really cool. I'm all for that. And in coming soon, you guys are actually going to see in the bonus content, we're going to have actual profiles of dogs that need adoption. We were going to start it this week, but I kind of threw it on Sarah a little too soon. Sarah is one of the people that run Traveling Tales Canine, which is a rescue in Beamsville, Ontario. And it's where I got Loki. So I wanted to be able to do something in that regard, but we just weren't able to get the profiles done quick enough in order for that to take place this week. So just bear with us, but coming soon in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see in the bonus content some adoptions that can happen. And there's a bunch of great little fur babies out there that are looking for their forever homes. We're going to make sure we have a nice description that I'm going to read off for everyone so everyone knows what they're getting into with photos and such. But any way to use a platform to help animals, I'm all for it. Especially because everyone knows how much both you and I love dogs. So it only makes sense that we use the show's platform, even though it's a very small voice right now. But in the end, it's going to be a large one. So why not start now, right?
Yeah, everything starts off small and grows. That's how it works.
Especially for men.
Some women nowadays too.
Yeah, some women nowadays too. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were speaking about Southeast Asia there for a little bit, so I mean,
Well, what's your experience with Southeast Asia?
oh well, I mean, I don't personally have any experience in Southeast Asia, but I know a ton of people that have been all through places like Thailand and stuff, and have told me all sorts of stories about the women there, if they're women, that is. But yeah, that's a plug for another show for another day. I need to get some buddies that have had those experiences on to tell their stories. But what I wanted to start the show off today was one of the things that I've noticed is texting, and we've all noticed texting's kind of changed the world. We know this. We all know this. But does anybody really pay attention to their texting habits? And what I mean by that is, what's your texting habits on a regular day with people? What's it like when your mood changes? What's it like if you suffer from depression? And these are kind of things that I'm curious on what you're like, because I'm down this road of self-discovery since 2019. I never really was before. I was either afraid or I didn't really want to know much about myself, so I just kind of ignored it. Now it's like I want to know everything. So I'm really taking in what my texting habits are like, and it's interesting to me. So, what are your texting habits like on a regular basis? Like, are you constantly texting people, or did you just just have a couple people that you text every day, et cetera, et cetera?
I genuinely hate having a phone. I'm one of those people that dislike having a phone. So I don't know how long it's been since we met, but for example, like you got my number what, like maybe 2 weeks ago?
Not literally, but figuratively, yes.
Yeah, so and it's not out of like a disrespect, it's just I take it back to what is it? MSN Messenger days. Okay, where you'd have all these, you'd go online and then it would be like blip, 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 all the fucking time. Man, that shit would drive me nuts because it would always just be some like asinine conversation like, oh, you're online, what you doing? And you got like four of those things and you're just going on your computer for whatever. That's where it started for me. And I remember I got a phone and it had like MSN Messenger and people would fucking text me all the time because I gave my number out and shit, and it was just like over basic convo or whatnot. And it's just like, no, I can't fucking have this, right? So yeah, when it comes to texting, I have, I guess what you'd say is a select few, and I do message people on Facebook a little bit more, but Yeah, actual texting with my phone number and my phone. Um, yeah, it's like I'm not down. I don't know why. It's just like I'm not down for it. If you're texting me because like, oh hey, like I'm here, we're meeting up for something, sure. But usually the conversation, if it was something important or whatnot, it's usually in Facebook Messenger, so Zuck can see it and the people I'm talking to can understand to follow the proper guidelines.
So, needless to say, you're not a texter. You're not really into texting. If anything,
Oh
would
yeah.
you prefer if people called you on the phone? Are you more of like someone that would have conversation over a telephone versus text messaging?
Fuck, it's like neither. I'm such a dick.
No, you're
I'm
not a
such.
dick. No, and that's fair. No,
I.
that's
But yeah, like for example, I remember I used to work at Winners. If anyone knows what that is, it's like a clothing store. Um, I didn't have a phone, and my boss was kind of like, you don't have a cell phone. And I was like, no, I have a landline. You want to get a hold of me? There's there. He's like, well, what if you're not home? There's an answering machine. Like I didn't like the fact that my boss could get a hold of me at such a like any time kind of deal on my person. And I wasn't about to like block their number, you know what I mean? So it was just like I didn't like having a cell phone for that was one of the many reasons. And I remember they thought it was weird, and for some reason I decided to get a cell phone while I was working there. And as soon as they had my number, it was that shit. They're calling me all the fucking time on my days off and whatnot. You know that wasn't there when I didn't have the cell phone because there's an answering machine. And someone's kind of like, "Hey, it's me," blah 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 blah, and it's like, okay, is that important? If it's not, I'll talk to them later, kind of thing. I have this
what
kind of saying, what's an emergency now will probably be an emergency later if it's not a major emergency. Do you know what I mean?
what did we do before, you know? And it's one of those things that when it comes to text messaging and cell phones, I often look back at the 90s for many reasons. Many reasons. One of the biggest reasons why I wish I could go back is because of cell phones. Cell phones, like a lot of different technology, are greatly beneficial to a lot of people in their everyday lives, especially for work, etc., etc. I find that the more I'm on my phone, the more it affects my mental health. And I'm not just talking social media, I'm just talking in general. I'm not like you per se, where I don't want to message or have conversations on the phone. I really don't want to have conversations on the phone. Why I like texting is because it allows me to be social while doing whatever I want. It's not like I have to dedicate X amount of time to be on the phone conversing with you when I can have this conversation stretch out over a course of longer period of time, but I can do things in between. So it's more convenient for me that way. But sometimes it's just too much. Like when my depression or is really bad, I don't want to talk to anybody. And I hate that feeling of needing to be on or explaining myself because I haven't messaged them back in a period of time that I would deem fit as a response time. And it just drives me mental. Sometimes I would just love to just turn off my phone and not deal with it at all. It's the podcast and many other things that prevent me from doing that. My work especially, because being a compliance manager for a cannabis store, if I'm not around, I see your point of emergency is emergency, but I'm the first point of contact for the emergencies that take place there. So I really need to be on. But if it wasn't for that job and if it wasn't for the podcast, I would seriously consider getting rid of my cell phone. It's just like you said, leave me a message, whatever. I don't like the fact that you can contact me whenever you want. And I'm not trying to say this to discourage any of my friends that are listening to this from messaging me, because everyone that's in my life knows what I'm like. And the pressures that I put on myself to respond to people are generally new people. It's not people that are in my life. But you can feel the tide shift if you don't want to talk. And it's like, man, in 1993, if I didn't answer the phone, you left me a message and I didn't call you back for 2 days, you weren't mad. You weren't upset. You just understood that I was busy. Why is it in 2021? Because anyone can message and anyone can get a hold of you at any given time. And there's this unrealistic expectation of response. And yeah, it drives me mental. And honestly, I'm thankful for you that you like voice notes, because I love voice notes. That's my ultimate number one for people that I don't mind doing that with. The problem that comes with that, though, too, is that I'm not always able to listen to the voice note. So I could be at work, I could be surrounded by people, especially like if you're sending me a voice note, I don't know what I'm getting. So I'm not playing that in front of my staff as just an example. Not that you say anything too outlandish, but there's probably some things I wouldn't want some people to hear that some people say to me. What a surprise. That's the world. Not everything needs to be public and out there. So yeah, I was just kind of curious to where you were at, because you didn't have a cell phone for the longest time that I knew you. You only recently, I know you joked saying 2 weeks ago, but I want to say that you got your phone back in like March.
It was actually a birthday gift to myself. So yeah, it was in March.
Wow, so this guy doesn't even like being communicated with or anything of the sort, and he loathes himself so much that he goes and buys himself a phone for his birthday.
No.
I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing.
I don't talk to anyone on the phone, so the only way I think my wife could keep in contact with me was buying me a phone.
Happy wife, happy life. So that was indeed a good birthday present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a pretty cool phone. So I like the camera aspect of it. I enjoy taking pictures of it. I'd say that's one of the pictures of it. I take pictures of my phone.
That's right. I get my big old chunker camera and I just take all the good angles of my cell phone.
With
No,
the
I get what you're
gunpowder.
saying. And the cancer that you get every single time there's a photo that goes off.
That's good cancer.
Yeah, 1.2 megapixel cancer coming right at
It's
you.
wholesome because the family's there. They're together.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stay still. Boosh. You don't see that part. Where old Jimmy gets licks in the back of his head every single time he fucks around, considering it takes 45 seconds just to click the button to take this picture. But anyway, yeah, because you gotta.
you know your antique cameras.
Oh, buddy, 1920s historian here. You didn't know that? Come on.
Holy shit!
Not really.
No,
Not
I
not
know.
at all. So please don't ask me any questions about the 1920s. But you've got a Huawei just like I do, and I understand the camera. Honestly, that's one of the best parts about a cell phone is the camera, is being able to take a picture whenever, especially of your loved ones or animals. I've started slowly looking back at pictures of Cooper, and I'm super, super thankful that I took all those pictures. Because even though it's hard to go back and look at them, pictures worth 1,000 words, and they're memories that it helps your memories. If anything, it's memories that are stored away that may not necessarily be stored away in here. So I really appreciate that about cell phones, and I'm thankful that we have a traveling camera essentially. But there's a lot of great things about cell phones. I just don't want to say like a lot of my life is attributed to social media and cell phones and whatnot. It's just I've noticed last week I was battling my anxiety and depression really, really bad last week. And I found myself just so uninterested in messaging anyone. And I just keep looking at my phone. It just keeps going off and vibrating to the point where I have to turn the ringer off and just take the risk if anyone's calling, because it's just too much. It's just overwhelming at points. And I'm not trying to say this, I'm Mr. Popular or Mr. Big Shot or anything like that, because I'm not. It's just, yeah. So you're on the right path, Mike. You're on the right path. I'm envious of your cellular use.
It's just putting the wall up when you see the people. That's all it takes. Just put that wall up. Just put that wall up.
Or just get in as much conversation in person so that you don't have to talk outside anymore on the cell phones. That's the idea. Well, so anyway, that's enough about texting and texting habits. I was just very curious on where you stood on that. And if our fellow listeners, if this resonates with you, what's your texting habits like? Let us know in the comments. When you're going through depression and anxiety, does it change? Does it make you want to do it less? Does it want to make you do it more? I'm just curious on how other people react towards it, because texting habits aren't talked about near enough. There's that expectation that you're just supposed to be there all the time. And I think if we started putting up, not to steal from you, but walls up, if we started to put boundaries there, then if we start having these conversations, then maybe we can make a little bit of a difference when it comes to that. Because especially in relationships, part of the reason why I don't want one is that constant need to be in communication with your partner. And to me, it kills the relationship kind of, especially at the beginning, because you get all excited at the beginning and you want to message them and talk, 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 talk. And then what? You know?
Yeah, yeah, that was the thing, but I don't know. Maybe I'm in a different world because it reminds me now that cell phone that I bought when I was working at Winners was actually bought to keep in contact with my current wife.
Your current wife. Your then girlfriend, I would imagine, and your now wife. Is that what you meant?
Common law.
Common law. Sure. Okay. Well, we're going to head on over to Seg 2 at this point because there's no good segue to go into Seg 2. But we're going to talk about what's going on in the world today. Um, this one's a little difficult for me, and I'm not quite sure where I stand on this one. Simone Biles is a Olympian athlete who's competing for Team USA over in Japan right now. She's one of the most decorated Olympians at a very, very young age. And she placed silver, which is unusual for her in her first event. Decided to drop out after that. And she's a part of many events. But for whatever reason, she decided to prolong the dropout, basically suggesting that her mental health is bad right now and that she just needs to examine it event by event to see whether or not she can do it or not. And I just don't know where to stand on this topic, and I have some feelings on it that I'll obviously get to. But Mike, what's your thoughts on this whole Simone Biles leaving, quitting, whatever you put it, the Olympics?
I feel like she got a taste of a bit of trending that Olympics that she won prior because she was going out with who's the guy that's in Bad Neighbors with Seth Rogen there.
Oh shit, I don't remember.
Yeah, so the pop quiz, Zac Efron. There we go.
Oh yeah,
So
okay.
she had a little thing going on there. She got a taste of media and all this other shit. I feel like there's a bit of that.
So what do you mean? Let's bring that back. So there's a little bit of like she caught some celebrity wind and got too caught up in it. Like elaborate
No, no,
on
no.
that.
I guess what I mean is like, so she got a lot of attention, right?
Yes.
So like, you just get silver, you didn't get gold, you got no fucking attention. I think this is a good way for her to amp up that attention or whatnot. She can look like someone who's an advocate for mental health. She can look like someone who's a person of color who's decided to stand up against the system or whatever. There's a lot of different ways that can be taken. Um, there's nothing wrong with being an advocate or a person of color standing up for it, but I feel like the way that it's happening there isn't the out I don't know, isn't the way that it should be. So, for example, there's a lot of people that are working hard to get into the Olympics. They're going through a lot of different challenges. Um, like someone said, well, what about the person that missed out on
Qualifying to get in.
to get in, right? What about their mental health kind of thing? Like, are we all just going to quit or we're going to work through these challenges? It's like the sprained knee. Like, yes, it matters, but we're going to work through these challenges and we're going to get stronger because of it. And she's almost showing that it's okay to quit. And like, in our world, we shouldn't be okay to quit. We should be pushing to strive forward and reach our goals and succeed. Um, she hasn't really decided if she's going to give up or if she's going to keep going, which also leaves the spot available, which means we're like, well, what's the person is supposed to do if there's someone coming in her place? They're kind of sitting there going, fuck, that's got to bring on some anxiety. I don't know. I know I'm saying some controversial shit there, but that's what this is all about. So,
No, and that's fair. Honestly, that's totally fair. Exactly where you're going down, and I have some similar thoughts to what you were saying on that. But you're right. Yeah, there's that perseverance factor that you want to look for out of your athlete. But continue finishing the rest of your thought.
I can't say when I heard the news I'm like disappointed or angry or anything. It's just kind of shocked that it's that made them stop. Like America, when it comes to the world, they have this perception lately that they're weak, and it has to do with a lot of different things going on. And that's one of the things I look at it as. I'm not saying it's weak to have mental health issues, but I don't know. It's disappointing that she's lingering there, like fall out, just throw in the fucking towel or keep going. You know what I mean? Make that decision. I mean, you're representing more than just yourself in that case. You know what I mean? Because she's going to the Olympics for herself in America. I get it that there's probably people pissed off that she didn't win gold, but that's also part of being an athlete. You win some, you lose some.
Couldn't agree more. When I first heard the news, my first thought was, didn't this girl just go on for weeks prior to this about how she's the GOAT, aka the greatest of all time? Because that's all she did. Screaming at the top of her lungs, I'm the GOAT, I'm the GOAT, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that, anointing herself the best, and there's nothing wrong with that. Especially if you're Simone Biles, and for all intents and purposes, pretty much are one of the greatest of all time. Hard to dispute it. But when you're going around yapping about it, you travel overseas, you go do your first event and you lose your first loss. And your way to react to that is, oh, my mental health, I can't, well, maybe I can compete in the rest of the Olympics. I can't do the next event. My teammates are going to take care of that. And we'll see about the other events. And the way I take it is, if your mental health is not good, and I am one of the biggest mental health advocates there can be, go home. Go home. Nothing wrong with going home. If you lost and that this has affected you, go home. The generation nowadays, a lot different. Don't handle adversity all that well. Go home and learn how to handle adversity. Be a role model for the people looking up to you, that you're willing to go and put in the work to conquer adversity, because you're so great, you've never conquered, or you've never had to deal with conquering adversity. That at least shows a positive message. It'll still be criticized, don't get me wrong, but at least that sends a message of, okay, I lost. I don't know how to mentally deal with that. Now my anxiety's going crazy and it's all I can think about. I'm rattled, whatever you want to say. Okay, I get it. It feels like a media ploy in a way. It's like I didn't win. So rather than bowing out of all the rest of them, it's let's keep me in the media as long as possible. It feels like, kind of thing, for better or for worse. And whether it's a strategy like you suggested, where, okay, well, I've lost, how can I turn this into a positive? And that's by being the advocate for mental health. But then there is
Is this like a Donovan Bailey versus the guy from the States thing, where he was losing and then he's like, ah, my knee?
it could be. It feels like a cop out for losing. That's what it does. It feels like a cop out for losing. It feels like someone who was going on about them damn selves to be the best in the world, and they fucking lost, and they don't know how to fucking lose. So, and they're being they just want to be the center of attention still. You don't have to do any of these other events that are coming up if your mental health's that bad. You can't just prolong everything, because, like you said, the next woman up is going to need to know that she's going to be the next person up. And if it's a lingering decision that goes into the final minute, you're right. What about that person's mental health? Am I stepping up or am I not stepping up? Do I have to compete or am I not competing? I think the whole thing is, I think it's preposterous. Like I said, I feel like it's a bruised ego, and the generations now don't know how to deal with defeat. They don't know how to deal with loss. Every great athlete loses. All of them. Michael Jordan, for fuck's sakes, lost. How are you supposed to excel and be better as an athlete and a human being if you don't accept losses. You need to accept losses. And it's apparent to me that Simone just doesn't want to accept loss. And I could be way off base. It's just from the outside looking in. I'm not in her camp. I'm not in her family. I'm not her friends. I don't know her. I'm not her personally. It's just, it stinks. It just stinks and it smells rotten at the end of the day. It feels like a cop out and I don't like it. I feel that there could have been much better ways of handling it if it was real mental health issues and not just, oh my God, I lost. I can't deal with myself anymore. You're an athlete. That's like going to war as a soldier and getting shot in the arm. Oh well, I can't be in the war no more. It's like, no, you're in fucking war. Like, what do you mean? So I find the whole thing preposterous.
If the $1 million wound was just a bad mental health day.
Right? I'm sorry. I got shot in the arm. I have bad mental health. And again, I'm not trying to rag on anybody who has mental health issues or anything like that. And people might drag me because I'm supposed to be super compassionate because I'm very open and whatnot with my support for mental health issues. But come on, man. It feels like it's a card that's easy to pull out for people, and that's what it feels like here.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's something fishy, and we'll know when the Olympics are over, right?
Maybe because it'll probably just go away like everything else. Go like as an example, doesn't appear to be too orange on social media nowadays. And what I mean by that is all the support for natives seems to have dwindled, just like they did for Black Lives Matter and whatnot. Didn't I call that? Didn't I call that on the Canada Day special? It's been how long? How long has it really been? 5 weeks? You don't hear nothing about that stuff anymore. And same thing will happen with this. It'll just get swept under the rug.
You're not wrong.
And that's just it. It's I credit some people, like I credit some people for sticking, like, because I ragged on the selfie with the stupid filter thing that supports the social justice cause. But anyone that changed their display picture to orange, like just orange or whatever, that at least has a little more reach. Because if you have friends or family that are native, at least you're showing them that you're supporting them and not being uh, someone in 2021 who's just a social media douchebag, essentially. So I credit those people, and there's still a couple of people that I know that are continuing with that. But you don't see none of this stuff because, like I said, it's not the sexy share no more. It's this problem with society. It's just it's only affects them and only angers them for so long, but they don't carry it. They forget about it and they move on. That's why I disregard mostly anyone's social media outcries. It's ridiculous. And if you go on your social medias now, you're not going to find anything, and you're just proving my point from the Canada Day special. Same thing will happen here with Simone Biles. Same thing will happen here. And that's the beauty of society now, is you can do anything and people will forget about it like that.
Humboldt Broncos or whatever they were.
Yeah, I mean those boys just got back together, the surviving members, and they all took a great photo together, and that was awesome. They were able to hang out. But yeah, it's I mean, it goes to us like, how long are you supposed to hold on to certain tragedies? And I understand that, but and this is no disrespect for the Humboldt Broncos or that tragic accident, but it wasn't, whatever. It was an accident. Whether, like, the guy was found guilty and all that stuff, so I mean, you can play around with that word all you want, but things that are happening to natives are still happening right now. Why are people still not upset about it? There's still native women and children being missing every day. Why does nobody care about that anymore? Because CTV hasn't released an article that says X amount of unmarked graves have been found. So
Yeah, no, you're totally right. The media's just stopped, unless they find more graves. The media's just kind of stopped on it
but that's how
because
people base their
it's like
lives
they
now,
want
is
more
around the
numbers.
media.
It's like
Yeah,
war. It's like war. They want more numbers, more
It's
numbers.
same thing with the vaccines and all that shit. They just want more numbers, and it's all based off media. Everyone's basing their opinions on vaccines based off media.
And that's
Everybody.
and that's what I mean by they. I don't mean natives. I mean the media. The media
Yes.
wants those numbers to display them for ratings.
And everybody follows and bases their lives and their opinions off of whatever the news feeds them. Oh, the news told me I should go get my vaccines. Okay, I better go do that for COVID. Oh, they're now saying that there's an outrage and we should cancel Canada today. Oh, yeah, I better get on that too. Fuck off, man. People buy way too much shit that's being sold off of places like CNN, CTV, and CBC News, or wherever, Sky One, whatever the fuck, wherever you get your news, and just turn the fucking news off, people. Get a mind for your own. But that wraps up what's going on in the world today, because I could go on and rant about this forever, and there's going to be some ranting coming soon. But let's go to something that I introduced last week. Would you rather, where I gave Mike some choices on what he would rather in between the two choices. And this week it's Mike's turn to ask me what I would prefer between the two things. So what have you prepared for us this week, Mike?
All right, I got three.
Three. Wow, you put in a ton of work. Brad must be just busting your balls in the background going.
You only had four for me.
I believe I had five for you.
Holler in the comments because I think Stu's wrong.
Yeah, prove me wrong in the comments. But anyways, I'm just busting your balls, dude.
Right.
What are the three that you got for me this week?
Okay, so who would you rather oil massage?
Okay.
Rosie O'Donnell
Oh.
or Oprah Winfrey?
Oprah all day long. I mean, because if I do it right, I'll probably get a car out of it, right? I mean, Oprah's just cool. I don't know. I like Oprah. If I had to do that D, I definitely would not do it to Rosie O'Donnell. She's not just because of physical appearance, she's just a rotten person in general, from my understanding. So Oprah all day long.
So it's
You
about
get a car.
it's about money and looks for you, right?
Well, yeah, isn't it to everybody? In this circumstance, yes, very much
Good,
so.
good answer. Good answer.
Thank you, thank you.
So the next one, would you rather be stuck in a mountain of wild cats or a mountain of wild dogs for 5 minutes?
What type of cats? Household cats or like
Feral.
bobcats?
They're like wild cats. They're like
Oh.
domesticated cats that are wild and domesticated dogs that are wild. You have to be in a mountain of one of them for 5 minutes. And these cats and dogs don't know you, so they can't. Yeah, it's just like a mountain.
I want to say cats just because I think they would be less harmful to me. But then again, if I say dogs, if they were domesticated previous, but they're now just wild, then they may be kind to humans. It's tough to say. That's a tough one. I'm gonna go with cats though, because I think I could survive the 5 minutes with the cats versus the dogs.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister for me. I don't know which one I'd choose.
It's a tough one. That's a really tough one. I like that one because I really had to think about it. But at first, I'm thinking, are we talking like mountain cats, like bobcats and shit? Or are we talking about little fluffy, friggin' zippy with the dew claw, Because it's like I'm not worried about that cat. So yeah, I'm gonna go with cats. But I'm interested. What's the final one?
Would you rather the world be controlled by China or Japan?
Oh man, that's it's easy, but it's not. I'm gonna say Japan because China, communism, control, all that fun stuff that I'm just not interested in. I'm sorry to disappoint some of the left-wing liberals that are listening. If they are listening, I hope you're not listening. But if you are listening, I'm sorry I did not pick your beloved China. Yeah, China has a lot of potential to be great in a lot of ways. And then there's Japan, that is America Junior. But what are we? We're no different.
Why is Japan America Junior in your mind?
They just display a lot of the same characteristics as America, and politically they really, really suck ass to to the Democrats, and right now Biden's in, and the very first elected official to come over on an official visit has to be the Japanese prime minister. So
Um, See, when Trump was in power, Japan was actually very supportive of him. Like you'd see them in the streets in support of Trump. So that's yeah, that strikes me as a surprise. So
that strikes me as a surprise too, because usually they're not very friendly towards Republicans, but in the same essence, they're always friendly towards America. There's the way they operate their businesses and the way they operate in general. They're very Americanized, more than any Japanese native would like to admit. But I would much rather take a Japanese-led world than a Chinese-led world. What about you?
yeah, I'd choose Japan. I think it would actually be quite interesting to see that. Not that I want Japan to take over the world, but in comparison to China, I think that would be quite interesting.
I think
Um,
we'd have cleaner diets, definitely, and we'd have a lot more discipline in a lot of areas if we were led by the Japanese.
Same with China.
Oh, more so with China, but I'm talking about in a way with Japan that's more free.
China's free as long as you're together with everyone and you have the same idea. It's free.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Like when COVID was going on, and if you even as much as exited your home, you had this fucking hovering piece of equipment with a gun on it, basically with a camera saying, "Get back in your home or we'll shoot you." Yeah, that sounds like a divine leadership right there.
That's such overwhelming protection that the world needs, right? Because you're gonna get so sick, they're just gonna remind you how sick you're gonna get. So you're just gonna be like, "Yep, they're right. The gun's pointed at my face. They got a
Yep,
point. I'm just gonna
must
go back in my house.
must be sick. Yeah, that's exactly it. So,
They
so
know what's
yeah,
best."
definitely choose Japan over China. But those were cool. Those were good ones. They were actually so good. I honestly wish you did have a few more. But
I have one more.
oh, do you?
Yeah,
Okay.
indica or sativa.
Uh, I can't give you a solid answer for either or, because sativa during the day, indica at night. I
Mm,
look at it as day and night medicine. I don't I don't appreciate sativas too late at night, and I don't appreciate indicas too early in the day. So, but I love them both. It was something that I didn't think I was a fan of with sativa until I really got to understand sativa. The one that I don't like, that's a total X, is hybrids. I don't like hybrids. I don't need the Forrest Whitaker where I'm drooped over one side and up in arms on the other. I am perfectly content on one feeling or the other. I don't need too much of a good thing in my weed, so I'm not a big fan of hybrids. But between sativa and indica, what's it for you?
Um, I prefer indica just because sativa would give me like sometimes give me panic attacks, and the hybrids. There's the occasional hybrid I do like, but I don't like the surprise that a hybrid can have. So I don't really know because if I have like a pure sativa, I'm usually in a panic situation, not a creative working situation. So I stick with indicas. I'll take a hybrid once in a while because I kind of want to test out sativa here and there. But yeah, it's pretty much hybrid.
The thing I could recommend the most to you, because I was the same way, I was very much the same way with sativa. But the thing I can recommend to anyone, including yourself, that has not dabbled in sativa much and does have those side effects, just go with low THC percentage and start with small amounts, because creativity wise and energy wise, it's great. And I can't smoke too heavy of a sativa. If it's over 15% THC, I'm heading into risky territory. Sometimes it's great. I did the one cannabis review with Carmel Cannabis with Animal Face. That was a 22% sativa. And I was very jittery off that. And when my body gets super jittery, it goes like numb, like cold. And I get the shakes and I get really, really cold. And it's not fun. But I found, like, this week on the bonus content, you're going to hear me talking about two different types of sativas as my strains of the week. And they're 15% each. And I love them. They're fantastic. Great. They hit the right notes, and it gives you just that right amount of energy, because when I come off of indicas, I'm very, very hard to come back into energy wise. I'm very, very tired and groggy, just not fun when I'm coming off of an indica high. So sativas are great because when you come off of sativas, it's like you just return back to normal for the most part. I actually stopped smoking uh, before 12 o'clock on weekends because what I found that I was doing is I'd smoke from the moment that I woke up. And by the time 12 noon hits, which is about 6 hours into my day, because I'm usually up around 6 o'clock on the weekends, I'm very, very lethargic, very tired, very unmotivated. I haven't even smoked yet today because I found my performance on last Sunday's episode was not very good. And I found the one of the main factors was that is I just smoked way too much. And this week I wanted to go on a totally different approach and just stay off of it altogether to see how I was. And I feel so much more energetic. I feel more engaged in what's going on. So I did order from my medical site a balanced THC CBD, really low THC, fairly high in CBD. I got it for a great price and I got 15 grams of it. So I'm really hoping it works out. But for the price, you couldn't beat it. Fucking 35 bucks for 15 grams. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try that as my morning smoke. And I'm just not going to smoke as much. I'm going to stay a little more disciplined. I find if I can get up and I can wake up for at least an hour before trying it, I want to experiment and see where that takes me. Because I do know that right now, as we're recording, I'm a little on the maybe too energetic because I have ADHD. So I'm probably coming off as a little too hyper. I'd like to come down a little bit. My nerves are a little high. So it's all a part of the formula, right? I'm really trying to find my sweet spot. But I'm thinking if I start with this hybrid of CBD and low THC in the mornings, transition into a sativa in the afternoons, especially late afternoon, and then end my day with indicas, I think that's going to be the winning formula.
It seems like a good go. I'd give it a try.
We'll see, right? I want to find my balance because I don't like feeling the way I do when I've smoked too much. So, but that was the Would You Rather segment. Really great stuff from Mike. Really great questions. Gives me some more inspiration for next week when I have to make my choices. But we're going to move on here into to something new. And this is going to be called You Know What Grinds My Gears? And if you're familiar with the Family Guy episode, it was a segment Peter Griffin did on the news where he would basically just let out for a minute whatever's pissing him off and whatever's bothering him. So I took it as an opportunity to plagiarize that and steal that idea, which I know Mike will definitely get tickled by, and do it ourselves to give us an opportunity to maybe vent about some things that some others can relate to, not relate to. We don't give a fuck. It's us for to vent and be therapeutic. So, Mike, would you like to do the honors? What really grinds your gears?
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, I was waiting for yours because I know what it is. No one else knows what it is, so I was actually really excited for that.
Do you
But
want me to? Do you want me to kick it off then?
I can go first because I think yours is a bit better than mine. So, so that's
Remains to
just where
be
I'm going.
seen. But yeah,
Remains to be seen.
you go on with yours.
Mine was weed discrimination. So where you have a generation that still doesn't really realize that it's legalized. You have a generation that looks at people that smoke weed as drug addicts, or people with problems that they don't function, or they can't do anything, or they're lazy, or they just sit around and play video games all day. There's no health benefit to it whatsoever. Yeah, that's my rant because I don't like those people. I feel I can't stand weed discrimination. I use that word because I can't think of anything else to describe it. I don't walk around all day going, "You're a weed discriminating on me." But yeah. And there's still a lot of it in the world where it's just kind of like someone sees you smoking a joint and you're judged, whereas someone sees you drinking a beer, it's fine. So I don't know. I'm hoping that one day everyone gets over this discrimination, but that one pisses me off. Like, I love the fact I can go into a store and I can buy pot now. It's a fucking amazing thing. I hate the fact that there's still judgment behind it. You know what I mean? Have you ever seen it? Like you,
Oh,
I don't know.
firsthand. I'm actually thankful that you brought this up, and to discredit yours, saying that it's not as good as what mine's going to be. I disagree because I'm going to take the ball from here as someone that appreciates the fact that you can walk into a store and buy weed, keeps people like myself employed, so thank you. But being someone in the industry, being an advocate for this plant for years, nothing grinds my gears more than uneducated boomers more than anything, but just uneducated people in general. Yeah, I knew that would tickle you there with the boomers comment, but just uneducated people in general when it comes to cannabis. And the thing that gets me is that, again, sheep following the government line. Everybody tries to act like the things that North Korean governments and dictator governments tell their people are far different from ours. It's not at all. It's just that theirs are extreme in what they say, but they often, what are some of the common denominators? They casually or blatantly disregard the truth and speak what they consider truths. They constantly change policies all the time to further their own agendas, and they sell it to the people, and the people buy it. The masses buy it. CNN can release something tomorrow that says cannabis is good for you and here's why, and people will take that in and they'll buy it. Not everybody, but they'll buy it. North Koreans say that whatever about the great leader, and they buy it. And that's the narratives that I've been trying to set for a really long time, is that governments will say whatever they want and they use the media to fuel their agendas, and people buy into it. It's the same shit with weed. It's the same shit. No one's died from this plant. No one. Not a single fucking person has died from this plant. The reason why it was outlawed in general is preposterous and asinine. I think one of the biggest problems with the government accepting cannabis is the fact of all the amazing things and the healing things that cannabis can do that would hurt the pharmaceutical market. But now governments are getting to the point where they're figuring out strategies on how to stop stifling things that could bring change and make it something that they can profit from. Why didn't they do this years ago is the question I ask. And I don't know, but people have bought into the narrative that weed is bad and it's a gateway drug. You know what's a gateway drug? Alcohol, tobacco. And what are those two things? The two most legal forms of narcotics you can buy, or not narcotics, drugs that you can buy wherever, because alcohol is a drug, nicotine, all that's a drug. That's okay. Cigarettes and nicotine, or not nicotine, but tobacco, kill thousands of people every single year, more so than COVID. Funny how that works. And you got alcohol that does the same, kills more people than COVID, but all that's widely universally acceptable. You can bring your child into a store that has liquor, like for example in Ontario we have the Liquor Control Board of Ontario, LCBO. Those are the stores that you go into. You can bring your kid in there, it's all good, no worries. But you can't bring your kid into a pot shop. You want to know why? Because they can't see anything that goes inside of a pot shop, because can make it enticing for them to consume one day.
Okay, so here, sorry, you kind of triggered me with the kids and the alcohol thing.
No problem.
So here, it's not allowed, but it's kind of one of those like gray areas where certain places, they see the parent with their kid and they just don't say anything and it kind of flies. Like, but as far as I can tell, it's not allowed. And I have kids. I haven't drank in a few years, but they will never walk in a liquor store if I have any control over that. And the reason being is, like you just said, the government has it with the pot stores because they don't want them to be attracted to it or whatnot. Well, when they're walking in a fucking liquor store, they've got all the different colored bottles. They've got this unique smell as soon as you walk in there. Their senses are just going. Fucking mommy or daddy's all fucking happy talking to the teller. They've got this fucking thing that's a positive. It says it's going to be a positive thing. Whatever they're buying, they're going to party. They're going to fucking relax after dinner. Fucking whatever the fuck that goes in that kid's head. I fucking can't stand it when a fucking parent brings their kid in the liquor store. I don't give a fuck who you are. You can't find a babysitter. You can't find some way for someone to watch that kid for a few minutes. Who the fuck's watching that kid when you're drinking? Like, fucking come at me in the comments, like, straight up. I don't give a fuck if you've had a hard week, a hard month, a hard year. You don't need to drag your kid in a fucking liquor store. Fuck that shit. Like it's you like people I know fucking growing up that have had problems with alcohol have told me so many times about how their parents just would bring them in and all this other shit. And they describe some of the things that I said about the colored bottles, the fucking the smell. I used to go and my dad would fucking take me in there and I'd smell all types of shit. My dad was a whiskey alcoholic. And fucking it was just whoa, the liquor store. You're not allowed to come in here, be quiet, you know, and it's like, oh wow, this like magical place I'm not allowed in without my parents. It's so unique. And then you have somewhere like the cannabis store where they're just not allowed in. Well, that's going to amp my curiosity even more because I was in the liquor store, wasn't allowed in. What the fuck's in that cannabis store that fucking, or the tobacco stores that they have all the frost on the glass? Like, kids aren't stupid. It's like don't do drugs. The kids are like, well, what's a drug? Those people are happy. I want to see how they're happy. You know, well, just don't do them. Mom's drinking the fucking booze and fucking, you know, getting all half cut. And those are the effects from drugs that you're telling your kids not to take. Literally fucking being belligerent or all fucked up, you know, high. You know, each drug's different high, but it's still a fucking high and your kid sees it. So, yeah.
Yeah, which is crazy to me because especially if you walked into a pot store, you walk into my pot store as an example, unless you're looking at the one display in the corner where we have some wholesale flower on display, you don't see anything. We don't even have posters. We have none of the sort of stuff that you would find maybe in other dispensaries and whatnot, but not a lot of dispensaries offer a lot of things that a kid could see and go, wow, and get fascinated by it. And you're right, you're just upping the curiosity level more by not allowing them to come in and frosting out the windows and making it to be such a shameful thing, like a porn store. It's what it feels like porn stores, they're all have the same thing. They can't have any open advertisements, all their windows have to be frosted, you can't see inside. It's what, are you kidding? And one of the biggest reasons why cannabis hasn't been legalized for so long is that it doesn't do anything for the population control. Alcohol and tobacco kills people. It's good for the government's business in a lot of ways. It's good for the healthcare system. The healthcare system is big business, and they need sick people in order to continue that business. Whereas weed, there's not a lot that's going to happen bad that comes from weed, other than maybe greening out if you took too much in terms of edibles and whatnot. But I hear you. The discrimination and the ignorance involved, and the lack of education involved on what cannabis can really do, and the fact that you can't tell certain people anything because their blessed government has told them that it was wrong, so therefore it is wrong. And then you got programs like Dare and Say No to Drugs and all this shit. You're basically giving kids just a. We joked about this on a previous episode. It's like, oh yeah, ecstasy does makes you feel really good and makes sex last long. Great, let me just mark this down, right? You know,
Or
so
the bad drug books. I remember I had a few of those ones where it was like you could color and all this other shit, and it had stories about kids that would break into their dad's liquor cabinet, and then the kid went swimming and drowned and died, and they all learned that drinking was bad. But like, so it's like, oh, okay, well, don't go swimming after you steal booze out of the liquor cabinet. Maybe it'll be okay. Like everyone I knew that used to drink at a young age or fucking smoke weed, these were part of the tools. Like if you didn't, there was no Google or internet, right? So you'd see these books, and it was like, yeah, there's a bad side effect, but you're smart. You can put that together. Well, that kid was swimming in a fucking lake while he drank like half a 40 of dad's vodka. Makes sense why he probably drowned. So we'll just stay away from the lake.
it's a really backwards and weird society, and I can totally appreciate how that grinds your gears. It grinds mine too, especially because my store is on. So they allowed each municipality to vote on whether or not they were going to allow weed stores in their area. And the town that we kind of classify ourselves as said no. So what we did is what we do in every instance of this industry. We found the loophole. So we went right on the edge of the border, but on the neighboring town over, technically, according to the address. So we're in their town, but we're not in their town. And we've got all sorts of people that are embarrassed and ashamed, and they're mostly older, clients that are coming in because they're curious. They've never smoked. They've now been told by their government it's okay. So like the good little sheep they are, they want to try it, but they're afraid of old Sally and Jim next door looking at them weird, or their bosses. I had some people go, I hope my boss doesn't see me go in here. What, to grab a joint? The fuck? It's 2021. What are we talking about? So yes, that really grinds my gears too. I don't know if mine's gonna be as good as that one, but I touched on it on my Instagram stories this week, and I asked for people's opinion on this. But you know what really grinds my gears, Mike? And that's fucking cyclists. These people are the bane of my fucking existence. You want to talk about people that have their brains wired wrong, like a lot of people do in society. These people feel they have a right to the road. Cyclists have a right to the road. I'm sorry, can cyclists keep up with the flow and pace of traffic? Can cyclists go a minimum of 50 kilometers an hour in town ranges? Or where they love to go is the countryside roads where it's one lane on each side and 80 fucking kilometers. But no, you have to slow down for old fucking Karen and Darren there on their cyclists or on their bikes because they are entitled to the road too. Who told them they're entitled to the road too? Do you pay insurance? If your stupid little cycle hits into my car and dents my car, is your bike insurance going to pay for that dent? No. Do you have to pay for a license plate, or do you have to pay for any sort of anything to be on the road like we do who own cars? No. So what fucking rights do you have? Why? Because there's pavement and you have wheels, therefore you have rights. So therefore skateboarders have rights to the road now. People on tricycles have rights to the road now. Where does it end? Like, give it a fucking rest. If I can't go the pace of traffic, then I have no business being on the road. Four-wheelers and all that stuff, bikes, like actual motorcycles or dirt bikes and whatnot, cool. But cyclists, no. And all they do is they pack together with like 7 or 8 of them, and they take up the whole fucking lane, and they won't let you pass them. They won't do anything to help you out. And then they'll blaze through red lights. They'll blaze through stop signs because all of a sudden the rules of the road do not apply to them anymore. They can do whatever. It happens in Toronto all the time. Cyclists get creamed all the time in Toronto. And then it's, well, you didn't stop for the stop sign, you idiot. You didn't stop for the red light. You think just because you're on a little fucking bicycle there that you can do whatever you want. So yes, grinds my gears beyond approach. I see it all the time, especially because I have to take back roads in order to get to the main highway to get to my work. And I'm constantly trying to get around these idiots. And there was a few years ago where I took a job to do some a catering job and helping out with that. I had no idea who the clients were, anything, and they were fucking cyclists. I had to cook burgers for all these fucking cyclists. There's like 5,000 of them. Like, if you could imagine taking cancer and putting it in one spot, that's what it looked like having all those cyclists, because they were fucking rude, they were arrogant, and there was like maybe 2 people that said thank you out of all the people I served that day, and I served a lot of people. So if you're a cyclist and you're listening to this, you don't have a right to the road. You don't belong on the road. Go to your little velodromes and bicycle and do all your stupid shit inside, or do it in a place that's safe. But fuck off and leave our roads alone. And if you think that you have a right to the road, then go get your bike insured. Go get plates for your bike. And if you fuck my car up, then we'll talk about your insurance at that point. But and follow the rules. If you want to be on the road and you think you're entitled to something, follow the fucking rules. Stop at stop signs. Stop at red lights. Just don't be a douchebag. I don't know what it is about you fucking cyclist people, but you're all fucking douchebags. There, I said it.
Yeah, so Brad's a cyclist. So
Shocks me not.
yeah, he said there's been a lot of new bike lanes here in Nanaimo, and he's really getting his feel into it. And there's one spot here, if anybody's here in Nanaimo, it's on Cliff Street, and they've decided to put a bike lane right in front of the actual bus stop. So if you're sitting for the bus, you get to sit there, cross a bike lane on a crosswalk to stand on a meridian to get on the bus. It's really convenient. And one of Brad's favorite things is to just ride his bike through there constantly and cut off pedestrians that are trying to get on the bus. Ever since they put this bike lane in on Cliff, it's like it's so integrated with the drivers, and Brad feels he's such an important part of the drivers' day-to-day lives because he gets to slow them down, he gets to wave at them and have eye contact, which really helps him thrive in life. Eye contact is a big one for Brad. So one of his favorite things is to go down to Cliff ever since they've built this bike lane and go ride around and make more and more eye contact. So yeah, Brad's a big fan of the bike lanes, and when you talk about Ontario's bike lanes, I think he's going to want to go there and visit.
Well, he's not allowed here, first of all, and if I find Brad cycling up and down the streets here, I'll run him down. So, and I don't have to worry about insurance because he doesn't have any. So, and I'll make it sure that it's his fault.
It won't be his fault though, because he's a biker and he has rights.
Ah, yes, they seem to think so, but yeah. Well, there's the Loki cameo of the episode. He's unsure where to put himself at this point. Oh, yep, by the door. That's his usual spot. World. But so pretty much that sums it up. Stu hates cyclists. Mike's not a big fan of people that are very ignorant towards cannabis. Neither am I. And that's is a wrap on the what grinds our gears. And then we're moving into a fan favorite of some people, Mike's choice. What do we have today? Because I absolutely, honestly have no idea. You've alluded nothing to what your choice is this week.
So what I've noticed around lately, like there's a lot of genders out in the world now.
Okay.
Like there's more than one, there's more than two, there's more than three, there's more than five, there's more than 22. So I thought I'd read off some genders that I've found because they're constantly increasing and there's all types of different ones. So let's learn about some new genders today.
Oh my, I please.
You sound excited for this.
I'm, I'm very nervous, but I'm also very intrigued because I don't know beyond the two. Beyond male and female, those are the only two sexes I know of. So yes, there's going to be some enlightenment here.
Okay, so we're gonna start off. I'll describe the flag. We're gonna go. The first one's the Dodge gender. So you know how you've got Dogecoin, and you've got the funny yellow dog, and you got Dodge. Well, Dodge has his own gender, and the gender flag is starts off with dark orange and kind of pans off into white, the same shades as his fur. Dodge gender is a Xeno gender and meme gender for people that strongly connected to Dodge and its other variants. It can be also under dog gender and fauna gender. The flag utilizes the colorization of Dodge's pelt colors, and an alternative paw represents Dodge's paw. So they got like a paw on the flag too.
Is this fucking serious for the record?
I'm on the LGBTA wiki.
LGBTA?
Where I'm finding these genders, there's actually 6,119 genders currently.
I thought it was LGBTQ, and then there's others after. I didn't realize there was an A.
I think it's just the first three that matter. I don't think it's really the rest. I'm not too sure because that always confuses me too. I never really learned past the first three letters of the alphabet. It was always ABC for me. It never really went much further.
Yeah, what does come after C anyway? It's a mystery for another day.
A big D. So the next gender. Okay. You ever played Among Us?
No.
You've heard of the game?
Yes, but I don't really. I couldn't like if someone was to start playing it right now in front of me, I wouldn't be able to tell you that that's the game.
That's sus to me.
Why?
That's where that term came from, by the way, as far as I can tell.
Oh, it came from that game? But
yeah,
isn't sus short form for suspect?
Exactly. So in the game Among Us, you're like 4 to 8 people, and you're basically on a ship, and 1 or 2 of those people are murderers, and the other people have to, out of basically hints and tasks that they're doing, find out who the suspect is, and vote them. There's votes to vote them out, kind of like a Big Brother sort of thing.
Survivor sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's chat based a lot too. So when you go to vote, you'll be like, "No, this guy's the asshole," and someone else will be like, "No, it's this guy," and fucking you can kind of play around with mind tricks and stuff too. So yeah, it's a pretty good one. But there's a gender for it, so the people that are interested in the game, if anyone's listening, they can relate to this, and they felt this is a part of them since birth, kind of deal. This might relate to you. Among Us gender is a xenogender and meme gender in which someone feels extremely strong connection to the Among Us meme, either strongly identifying with it or simply wanting to incorporate it into their gender to better understand their identity. It was made with neurodivergent or neuroatypical people in mind, as well as people who may experience delusions relating to the meme. However, anyone may identify as Among Us gender. It is similar to sus gender.
Are you sure you're on a reputable website for this sort of thing, and it's not just like a clown site?
Oh, you got people that have the gender here and stuff, right? Like this person said, I think this was made as a satirical gender, and this person does absolutely not. I identify as this, and for you to judge otherwise, then you're you're be a bigot. So to like, even the fact that you're coming at me right now, you're like, is this legitimate? Like, there's some learning. We're learning things about. You're learning about acceptance. You're learning how to do this the right way, and I'm glad to take you on this journey.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for bringing me down Tolerance Avenue here. It's been enlightening. I feel like I'm on a cycle right now, like I'm on a bicycle, traveling through the streets of genders. Oh my. What's
So I got the next one here. Come on, the next one, last one. So, you ever feel connected to Costco? You ever like go in there and getting the deals? You feel it's a part of your blood. The hot dogs are just something that craves you to go there. Those rotisserie chickens. Ever since you were born, you just knew it was a deep down inside part of you. Well, you got the Costco gender. The Costco gender is a wholesale gender where someone feels that their gender is strongly associated with the Costco Wholesale Corporation. They feel that Costco affects their gender in some way or want to incorporate Costco into their gender. The term was coined by an anonymous creator on or before January 21st, 2020. The flag was created by a Discord user, so you can verify with that.
Oh my god.
Using the name on before January 21st, 2020. So, the Costco gender flag uses the lettering and color scheme used by the Costco Wholesale Corporation. So, I'm here for you guys. When you message and you think you have a gender that needs to be represented, I'm your guy. I'm there for you. I'm in your corner. We have so many of them, and it's important to be represented. As of right now, there's 6,129. So we've had 8 genders that have come here since we've had this conversation.
So, can you tell me, after man and woman, what is the most typical gender after men and women?
It doesn't go in order.
It doesn't go in order, but there's a predominance. Like there's a lot of men that are out there in the world. There's a lot of women that are out there in the world. So there has to be gender where a lot of people identify as that would be kind of third in line towards the most common.
But
yeah. You try to think of something.
You don't have to be a male or female to identify as a gender, because a male or female gender is the same category as Costco gender. It's the same identity as Dodge gender. Like, and that's why we're trying to bring awareness to this, because some people will go, well, are you a man or are you a woman and you just want to be a Costco gender? No, they're Costco gender. Like, they have wholesale in their blood. There's someone that feels their gender is strongly associated with the Costco wholesale gender. Like, the corporation, it's important to them. It's their life. It doesn't matter if they're a man or a woman. They're a Costco gender. And their pronouns should be as such.
What would the pronouns be for a Costco?
Big box boy. Hot dog man.
You said man. They can't be a man. They've already gendered themselves as Costco. Wouldn't it be hot dog Costco
As
person?
now, see, as someone who's read the Costco Corporation's book, see, they're kind of still stuck in the past. So their book identifies people as women and men. So when it comes to a title, if you're in the Costco gender, you still need to use that title as like stock boy, stock man. But like you're a Costco gender, so you're just kind of fitting into their format then. So
Oh my. Wow. Well, this has been a very enlightening and educational Mike's Choice for the week. And I can't wait to hear the response for the listeners. I mean, we're doing so well. We're getting about 50 views in a weekend now when we release stuff, and that might not seem like a lot to some, but that's great to us. I can't wait till people hear this and then the numbers just plummet from here on. Oh man, that was a good one though. That was like I said, very enlightening, very educational. I can definitely say I took something from this, and I'm going to try and be a better person because I would like to recognize all 6,985 genders, or however many you just suggested.
119. So
No, I thought you
you're
said
getting excited.
6,000. No, no, no. I thought you said
6,119. So you said
ah.
6,600 and something. You're getting excited.
I am getting excited, and you know what? By the time we record next week, it could be at the number I just started off. We
There
have
could be a
no
gender
idea.
for that number.
There could be a gender. It could be a number gender thing. How dare you misgender me when I am a number?
Your number now? Oh,
Thank
congratulations.
you. I've always felt like five. I always felt since I was born that I was the number five. So I oh my God, I just did it. I just came out on the podcast that I am a proud number five.
You're an odd number.
I'm an odd guy. I mean, odd five.
It's okay to get confused sometimes along the path because they've brainwashed it into your brain
That
like that you're a different gender than what you just
I'm
discovered.
still learning. Okay, I'm still learning. I'm still discovering myself, and I can't wait to continue on this journey. So I thank you for allowing me to have the platform to be able to finally come out as my true self. So if anyone's still around, still listening, as much fun as Mike's Choice was there, we're just going to wrap things up here and we're going to close down the shop and we're going to do what we always do and we're going to talk about what we're listening to and what we're watching. Mike, take it away.
So music that I've been listening to this week, "We Built This City"
On
by Starship. Does anyone
Rocket
know?
Road.
I love that one. When I first started my little meme stuff that I started doing, one of my first memes that pissed off a little bit of people in the community. We had a tent city, and I used that song, and I rearranged the lyrics, and we built this city off meth and blow, and then I had like a picture of fucking tent city and the drug dealers. Oh man, that ruffled some feathers, but it holds a great memory to me.
We built this city off meth and blood.
Tents everywhere. Yeah, so that one's one that I revisited, and then my boy Jon Snow dropped one with his buddy Stax, and they came up with one a little while back, and it was called New Kids. And when these two work together, they got some really good shit. And this new song, it's called Gangster's Paradise. And my first impression might be similar to what yours is, and you're like, no way, they remixed that fucking song. We've heard it, it's regurgitated. I honestly thought I was going to turn it on and I'm going to see all this kind of flashy gold type shit, like I'm a fucking gangster and a fucking G-Wagon. And I'm like, oh no, like Jon Snow's not really not like this kind of thing. But if he's doing his thing, everyone does their thing, right? As soon as I turn it on, it's like they're both in a prison and they're rapping about, like a gangster's paradise is that. Like you're going to fucking end up in jail. You're going to fucking be there. And I was like, whoa, shit. Like that was just like it was a really good surprise, right? Like, and yeah, so that one I've been hitting up, and we'll throw that in the comments. And he's a guy from St. John's. I know Stax is Canadian too, but I'm not too sure whereabouts he's from. But I've said it to him. I was like, those two they should be a fucking duo because they got some good shit together. Their rap's really good, and their editing and the sound, the video is really well put together. I don't know how they got in. They got like in like some old jail or something that they're in where they're filming it, which was really cool. Like, because I'm dead serious. I thought I was gonna click on it and be like, "This is fucking cringe," like because it's Gangster's Paradise. Like that was something that was like out for a while and like overplayed. Like it's like someone doing a remix to "Oops, I Did It Again" or something. You're gonna be like, "What the what?" Like, but no, they did a really good job, and their chorus is really good job too. Like it's unique in itself. It's not just like someone copying a fucking chorus. It's like it's pretty decent, and
Did
I
you just
liked
say
it.
chorus? They're gonna be so upset if they hear that. That's the hook, man. Come on, it's hip hop.
Oh, I say
No, no,
chorus.
there's no
I'm a chorus
choruses in
guy.
hip hop. No, 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 no. It's the hook, man.
You
It's
can
the
all
hook.
debate that in the comments.
We will debate this. We'll debate this on a future episode too. Well, maybe Jon Snow will pop on and he'll be able to tell you, "Nah, I'm sorry, Mike. It's a hook."
Yeah, he does some flat Earth debates too.
That's cool. I'd like to have some conversations about that. So there you have it. If you're listening, I know you have listened before in the past, John, and we would love to have you as a guest on the pod if you were interested. But yeah, hook,
Brad's
of
into
course.
flat Earth.
Yeah. Well, moving on to your third song.
Oh, I didn't have a third song because I was
Oh,
talking so much about Jon Snow's song. Yeah, because usually I just kind of throw the three out there. But
yeah, that's
his
cool.
his song's got the worth of two in my opinion. Like people need to go check that shit out. If you're in Orlando, support Canadian hip hop and all that type of stuff. Go check it out for sure. Shows a little bit. So we talked a little bit back and forth about China and whatnot, and I realized I talk a bit about Taiwan. I talk about Australia and the China conflict going on. So one of the places where a lot of this information comes from for me, along with the people he subscribes to and whatnot, is a channel called China Uncensored, and it's on YouTube. And this is a place that'll give you an unbiased opinion on China and the events in the world today. It's a very good place to start digging in for that information, along with Russian and Australian news sources and Taiwan news sources if you want to go that far. But I thought I'd throw that in there just so it's not kind of like I'm rambling or whatnot. But that's kind of where I go and get that information. And the Olympics, I've been watching more and more of the Olympics. I've been watching the 100 and 200 meter dash. Recently, Jamaica just seems to be fucking kicking ass. But that's been on. Bit more diving was on because I'm watching on Prime. So it's kind of whatever they're showing on at the time. So yeah, that's been pretty cool. Just watching athleticism.
I
Yeah.
barely watched any of the Olympics, to be honest with you. I watched the 100-meter dash this morning, the men's 100-meter with Andre DeGrasse, and he got the bronze. And did you watch that race at all?
No, no, no. It's just kind of like this feed of kind of what's going on currently. So this
It,
morning it was the women's dash, and Jamaica seemed to get like every one of those. The ones that I ended up watching, I think it was the 100, the 200, and I watched one. I think it was a fuck. I don't know if it was 600 or 6,000. Like they had to go around the fucking thing like about 5 or 6 times, and there was hurdles in between. Like so that one was pretty cool to watch. They had a hurdle that has like a bunch of water after you jump on it. I didn't even know that fucking existed. Growing up all this time, I'd see that thing on the fucking track. I'm like, what the fuck's that for? It looks like you jump off, you're gonna break your ankle, but they actually fill it with water. Who would have thought?
who would have thought indeed? But yeah, I watched the 100-meter dash with Andre DeGrasse representing Canada. He was on the ninth position, which is a disadvantage in the racing world. And he started off really slow. And boy, once halfway through, I'd say about at the 50-meter mark, that boy was flying. He ended up with a third when it looked like he was going to probably finish last. So shout outs to him. And yeah, I don't care about Summer Olympics. I'm not really into it. And especially with no crowd and nothing like that, it just really beats it for me. But what I'm listening to this week, I am so thankful for Sirius Satellite Radio. I just got to say it for the millionth time. I can put on the Octane channel and just stumble upon music, and I've discovered so much new rock music through Octane on Sirius Satellite Radio. So my songs this week are "Popular Monster" by Falling in Reverse, "Scars" by I Prevail, and "Enough" from Ashes to New. Really, really great tunes. I've got so many on here, man. I'm like looking at my playlist right now because every time I hear it, I pop it into my rock playlist on Spotify. And I'm looking right now and it's like song after song after song after song. And here I was thinking that rock is dead. And it's not, it's alive and well. It's just not as common, not as mainstream, not as easy to find. But so yeah, check out the tunes. They're on the playlist, available every Friday. And what I'm watching right now, I'm still watching Gotham. Still stuck on Gotham. I'm on season 2. I forget which episode at this point, but I'm pretty deep into it. The way they introduce the characters and whatnot, and how they really show the beginnings, and now they're getting into Hugo Strange and all of the stuff that he's doing at the Arkham Asylum. And if you're a fan of Batman, you really got to check this out. I mean, the actress that they got to play young Catwoman, she looks exactly like Michelle Pfeiffer. It's spooky, actually. But yeah, so check out Gotham if you haven't yet. You're a big Batman fan. And at this point, we're closing down the shop. We just want to remind you, listeners, that if you enjoyed this week's podcast episode, again, we can't say it enough. Leave us a review on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. And if you want to be a guest on the show and you're enjoying what you listen to and you want to be involved, DM one of us. We are looking for guests soon to pop on and have some conversation. And Mike, as per usual, where can listeners find you?
Facebook, and Instagram. So I got my profile there. You can send me a DM on there if you're on my friends list. If not, I check message requests and stuff as frequently as I can. Cutlet House on there. Instagram's another good spot to get a hold of me. Cutlet House all the way. I'm pretty much the only one that's got that, as far as I know, other than a little spot in South Korea. So.
Is that why you put because on your display name you have an underscore Cutlet House and underscore after? Did you do that because the other person had just Cutlet House?
Yeah, and it's not the name of their restaurant. It's just kind of like they cook, because cutlet's like another word for pork. So
yes,
it's yeah, so it's like one of those things. Not necessarily a copyright thing, but that's the story though. So yeah, you can find me there, and yeah, harass or DeGrasse. I don't know.
Harass or DeGrasse, smoke some grass, smack some ass, do whatever you want to do. But yeah, so that settles it. Look out for our bonus content this week. We're going to have some meme reviews with Strain of the Week. We're going to have some more reaction videos and reviews of some YouTube clips. And we're going to do things different with the best of 7 trivia. We're going to do a trivia battle. So the first person to answer 10 questions correctly wins. And if tied, there'll be a sudden death until one person gets that one question right and wins and becomes the king of the trivia battle for the week. So check us out on our bonus content. And it's been a pleasure as always, Mike. I had so much fun doing this stuff. This was a fun one this week. We did a lot of bitching this week, and it was fun. A lot of ums. I think you're going to have to do an counter at the bottom of the screen. And every time an comes up, it just dings up a new But other than that, it was a great time, man. I'm Stu Francis, host of the Canadian Talkin Shop podcast.
I'm Mike Berikoff, Cutlet House, signing off.